you send your information to? I mean, just think about your business and who are you reaching out to?
There's marketing efforts, there's sales efforts, there's customer service efforts, all of those customer emotions and data, all live within the CRM.
For you to be a successful thought leader, you need to be somebody who is thought of when people think about your subject.
At Growth, we strive to do great business with companies who do great business.
And once again, welcome, and everybody, thank you guys for joining us. Really excited to have you guys here. Perfect. With that, Gabe, you can go ahead and share your screen so we can
Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome. Thanks so much for being here. So let me just get everything going here as we started.
While you do that, let me also say thank you everybody for joining yet another one of our micro lessons. My name is Rick, micro lesson host. I'm also the community manager here at Growth. Today we're bringing a really exciting one with HubSpot. As you guys know, we bleed orange at the Redwood Grove, and we're going to be talking about creating content in the age of AI. Joining me, I have Gabe Wahhab. You're awesome, dude. Please take it from here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. So just a little housekeeping to start. If you do want to rewatch the session today, we will share it with you. Recording will be sent out. If you hear something you like, throw it in the chat. Same thing. If you have questions, just throw those in the chat. I'm going to keep my eye on that as much as possible, but we do have some time at the end dedicated to Q&A. As for me, I'm Gabe Wahhab. I am a senior product marketing manager with a focus on Content Hub, and I'm coming at you from beautiful Milwaukee, Wisconsin. For what we're going to cover today, first we're going to start with how content marketing has evolved over time. Then we're going to go over some AI best practices and how you can leverage AI within your content marketing. And then we're going to end with some Q&A. So just to start, as you guys can probably see, this is a picture of me, and this was taken about 12 years ago. And at the time, I owned a digital marketing agency called Savvy Panda, and it was around that time that we became a partner of this newer software company that you all might have heard of called HubSpot. And the founders of HubSpot, Brian and Ramesh, had created this methodology that you also might have heard of called inbound marketing. At the center of it was content marketing and a focus on creating content to attract customers. And it was a simple but revolutionary strategy. So inbound marketing, it worked. It worked incredibly well, especially in 2012 when it was relatively new. And this is an actual snapshot of our HubSpot portal from 2012 over 2013. And this was our agency's first year on HubSpot and implementing a content marketing strategy. Now, the results, they were massive for us. And what I really loved about this is that it was a simple, repeatable, and effective process. And to be honest, it almost felt like it was too good to be true, like we had some sort of cheat code almost. And also for our clients, also just massive results. And it was nothing like they'd ever seen before, and it made us look like heroes. And on top of all that, it worked especially well in industries with long sales cycles and complex products and services, something that previously around that time was very difficult to market to. So if we go back to 2012, this is what a typical content marketing strategy looked like. You'd write some blogs across the buyer journey. It was typically something like 500 to 1,000 words. You'd put some call to actions into those blogs to some offers. You nurture the leads with some emails, and eventually some convert into customers. And at that time, the name of the game was quantity over quality. Now, let's fast forward to today. Content marketing is still more important than ever, really. So much so that 84% of marketers say content is the most important part of marketing, and 50% of content marketers will increase their investment in content marketing for 2024. This is the highest of any marketing channel. But here's the problem. Content marketing has changed a lot over the years, and that same content playbook from 12 years ago, it's just not as effective as what it used to be. So what has changed? The first change is what types of content are being created, with video and audio displacing text and Gen AI changing the content creation process and democratizing creative skills. The next change is where content's being consumed, with attention now fragmented across many channels and formats like podcasts, YouTube, video shorts, social, and so on. The third is buyers are tuning out the noise, with trust shifting from brands to individuals. Let me just see in the chat, if you guys put this in, I'm going, How many of you have, when you search, you're going to add like YouTube or Reddit to the end of that search? I know I definitely do, or I should say I did. For me, it was Reddit. And I say I did because I've primarily moved to Perplexity now for like 90% of my searches. So search generative experiences are also answering questions and reducing traffic to websites. And finally, how you create content is now more about quality and brand than it's ever been before. It's no longer about quantity, it's about quality and creating meaningful content that stands out. And the big takeaway from this is marketers need to start acting like creators, creating high quality content that's opinionated, targeted, and personalized, and has that expert point of view. So to win in today's modern marketing landscape, marketers must create rich expertise-backed content in many formats, across many channels, and keep all that content up to date over time. They must do that while also personalizing touch points in the right places, at the right times, with the right message, and do that across the entire customer journey. Today, a content marketing strategy looks like this. So we're still doing everything we did before, but now we're also creating podcasts and internet TV shows, creative videos, deep long form content, interactive content. We then manually repurpose it into smaller pieces and redistribute it across LinkedIn, YouTube, Spotify, TikTok, blogs, our website, newsletters, ads, SMS, and more. And because we live in a world that's now so saturated with content, we have to be much more targeted. So we can't just create this content. We have to orchestrate it like a gifted composer, leading a beautiful symphony into targeted touchpoints at the right place, at the right time, with the right message to create personalized customer journeys. Oh, and by the way, all this has to be done with the same human resources that we had in 2012. Does that sound exhausting to you? I mean, I'm exhausted just thinking about it. It's really tough being a content marketer these days. So much so that 70% of marketers say content marketing is harder than ever before. And 54% of marketers say content marketing tools aren't keeping up with the needs of modern marketers. Fear not though, my friends. Today I'm going to walk you through how you can harness the power of AI to create content to engage your audience and convert them into leads. So what do you need for successful AI content creation? So as you can see here in this little model that I have here, a lot of people, they'll just go to a tool like ChatGPT and they might put in a prompt and they get an output of it. And they say, okay, this is AI, and they're not necessarily happy with the output that comes out of it. And that's because there's a lot of pieces missing. When you think about AI and generating content using AI, there's 4 key areas that you really need to think about. The first is the model, and this is more on the AI side. So am I using OpenAI? Am I using Claude? Am I using Stability, right, for image creation? Am I using like HeyGen to create a video, right? So we have all these different models, all these different tools. What's the best tool that I need to use to create this, right? That's one thing I have to think about. Then 2 is, how do I interact with it, right? It's the prompt. What do I need to tell it? You know, what am I trying to achieve? What is going to get me the best result, right? And then 3, we need to give it some information. It needs to know my content graph. It needs to know my audience. It needs to know what content I've created. It needs to know what that voice sounds like. It needs to know the persona. It needs to know the ICP. It just needs a lot of information. And then finally, brand. It needs to know about me. It needs to know about my company. It needs to know what the output should be like. And with these 4 things combined, you can get some successful outputs. And so just like if we look at this, right, if I just go into, like I said, ChatGPT and said, hey, draft me an 800-word blog article on when to swaddle a baby, right? You're maybe not going to get the best experience out of that, right? Maybe if you could think about that as like maybe a 16-year-old who maybe doesn't really have much experience with that. But when I give it all this information and I say, hey, write me a blog about this, and I give it those 4 core elements, it's a much different story. Now it's more like an entry-level employee, somebody who's got 2-3 years of experience, has worked in the company for a bit, knows your company, knows your audience, And now it's giving you something that's good, right? It's giving you something that you can use. But that's still not the end of the story, right? When we think about AI, we still have to create differentiated content, right? And that's where you come in, because you need to add your opinions, you need to add your experiences, you need to add your own personal stories. You have expertise, right? If I was going to ask, for instance, if I'm going to ask ChatGPT, for instance, hey, I'm looking for some siding for my house, what's the best siding I should use? ChatGPT is going to come back and it's going to give me a list of all the different types of siding. It's going to give me the pros and cons of each, but it's not going to give me an opinion. And that's where you come in, your expertise, your opinions, because you have that experience and that you need to put that layer into that content that you're creating. And so that's another piece of creating that successful content is you, but then also the analytics on top of that as well. Being able to look back and see what has performed well and putting that touch on things as well. And so there's a lot of different pieces to this, but ultimately you need to give AI the right information, and you need to add your own personal experiences, your own personal expertise, and have your employees do that as well. If you're a business, it's very much about becoming a creator and thinking like a creator and starting to put out content. So let me go to my next slide here. I'm going to stop sharing this. And I want to show you all a little bit about how we think about this experience and how you can create content, using a process like this. So let me just get my stop share here. I'm going to share with a different screen. Right here, share. All right. So I'll get this out of the way here. All right. So you can see here, this is a feature in our platform called brand voice, for instance. And with brand voice, this is where I can start to tell it about my company and my different demographics as well. And so if I generate my brand voice here, I can give it a writing sample. I just copied a blog post that I had in here. You just need to give it at least 500 words. And I'm going to say this is a blog post. Here's where I can tell it about my audience, right? So who is my audience? Just a short description. Just for the demo, I'll keep it nice and quick, nice and simple. We'll just say CEOs and marketers are my audience. Then what it's going to do is it's going to come and give me some personality and tone traits based on that writing sample that I had of my business. So I can go through here and I can choose and customize what these different voice and tone traits are. And then finally at the end here, I can give it some more context about my company. And so you can see here, I'm going to give it some context, but I'm also going to be able to choose what channels I want to apply this to here. So I can choose my channels, I can give it my company. Now it has that background information so that when I go in and create my content, I can do that. So then as I transition to creating content, we have so many different channels, we have so many different formats these days, and we need to be able to get out to all those different channels, and we need to be able to get out into all those different formats. So this is a content repurposing tool that we have called Content Remix. And again, how we like to think about this tool is very much so I can add in my piece of content here, right? I'll just choose a blog post for now. I'll choose this and I'll start with this. And from here, now I can add, what do I want to repurpose this to, right? And so again, this is an opinionated experience because if you have to do this with other tools, there's a lot involved, right? You're going to have multiple tools involved with this. You're going to have different data you have to feed it in between. So it can be quite a complicated process. Something like this simplifies that for you. We're choosing the model for you. We're doing the prompts for you behind the scenes for the most part. You're adding your personal experiences. You're adding some additional information about your content in here, and then you can create it. So I can go through here. Let's say I just want to create a campaign from this initial blog post. Let's say I want a landing page. I want an email. Let's say I want a social post within here. I can click next. And this is where then I can give it that additional information, those additional directives that I want in here. So this is where I can be specific. What do I want in that blog? Just to fine tune that output. How long do I want it? Do I want to generate an image? Same thing here with landing pages. Same thing here with email. Same thing with LinkedIn or whatever network I'm going to choose. But you'll notice here that when I do generate these are already going to be specific to the network, right? Because the way you write a post for LinkedIn, the way you write a post for Twitter, it's different. The tone can be different. The emojis you might use might be different. The length of it's different, right? So on. There's a lot of different variables. Same thing if I'm creating a video, for instance. If I'm creating a video for Instagram, it's different than if I'm creating a video for YouTube, right? And those first seconds matter. And this is where you guys can personalize that experience. So if I generate something like this, now it's going to start to generate that output. This is going to take a minute, so I can just shift over to a screen where this has already been created, for instance. So you can see here, I just took a blog and repurposed it. And now I could take this, for instance, and I can look at it, see if I like it. If I don't, I can make some adjustments in here and have it regenerate. And then I can save it in my app and then go in and edit it and add my own personal stories. Take it that last 20%. This is that entry-level employee for you who just very quickly repurposed a bunch of content for us and into different formats. So now I can take this, I can edit it and so on. And by the way, all of this was done using that brand voice that we set up previously. So it has that intelligence on your company. So this is an example. Now I can use this in multiple different ways, because now once I have this created, right, I can use this to create campaigns. I can use this, for instance, to do hub and spoke strategies or different topic strategies around this. Even look, with search changing so much, search very much used to be about keywords. With new AI search, it's more so about questions, right? Where are there gaps in questions? So if I'm going asking ChatGPT, Perplexity, whatever, if I'm going and asking it a question, what are the answers like? So I'm more where it used to be more about keywords, now it's going to be more about questions. So understanding what the questions are and then quickly going and creating content that goes deep into each one of those questions and getting a broad swath of being able to answer those questions so that you can show up in AI search, so that you do get some citations in there and so on. But different strategies, right? I can use this just to create social posts from an initial blog. And then once I have these saved, I can just quickly reuse them over and over. So if I just want to change, right, this one, I can just go in, choose a different blog post within here and save it. And right away, it's going to regenerate my content that goes within here. So that's one way of repurposing content. But then also, again, we have opinionated experiences. We talked about earlier how difficult it can be, or maybe that the results aren't so great when you're creating a blog, for instance, just straight up using ChatGPT or something like that, that is not the best. It's more like that 16-year-old intern versus that 2 to 3 year employee. But here we have this opinionated process again, where you can create blogs and do it with saving a lot of time, honestly. So if we go through and want to generate a blog here, right, the first thing you'll notice is it can generate ideas. It's going to look at the content that I do have in here. It's going to look at information about my company. Let's say I want to generate an idea. It's going to give me an idea right here. I'm just going to change this really quick, but I don't have to necessarily use that idea. I can just put in a general topic and it can generate some titles and keywords around that. So let me put this in. And for instance, I can put a keyword in. I don't have to put it necessarily a keyword in. And look, search, while AI search is coming up, regular search is still very, very important. We still need to keep that in mind. I mean, even AI search, when it can't find what you're looking for, relies on traditional search to find that. So you can see here, it gave me some different topics to write about, different ideas. And it also communicated with SEMrush to find monthly search volume, to find difficulty to rank, to find keyword intent of what stage in the buying process people are in when they're looking for this. And so again, I have this opinionated process where now it's helping me write this blog initially. So let's say I just choose one of these. I'm going to go to blog post outline here. It's going to give me an outline. It's going to give me a title. It's going to give me a description. It's going to give me an image that I can generate from within here that I can choose or not choose. And then from in here, I can put my specific talking points. So this is how I can customize it to tell it exactly what I want it to talk about. I can choose different paragraph headers for it to. So again, it's that opinionated experience, and I can generate this. This is going to take about 30 seconds to generate. So I'm just going to pop over to a created one already. But now this is where I can come in here. This is where I can put in that last 20% of expertise that this entry-level employee created for me and created. But it's also got some bells and whistles, right? Because podcasts and audio are becoming big now, and people just consume things in different ways. So let me remove this and show you like how you can use this to create an audio version very quickly, right? So I can quickly create this, right? It brought in my it brought in all the different copy. I can choose to change that copy as I see fit. I can choose a voice here. I can generate that. I'm just going to change my share settings here so you guys can see this really quick, or listen to it, I should say. And I'm going to just change it over to this quickly. All right, so this has been generated now. Now you can hear.
Peek into the crystal ball of data analytics, and what do you see? A mosaic of
So you can see it's a very realistic voice, and I can add this to my blog post. I can also do things like, look, I have an option to come in here and I can create a multi-language variant into a different language, right? So if I want to create a Spanish version of this, I already have a Spanish version of this one. So Italian, let's say I want an Italian version. I can create this. It's gonna convert it, and now I have reach into other languages, which this is something that's great at AI. But even better, look, there's other tools out there. Like I mentioned HeyGen earlier. We have an integration with HeyGen where you can come in here every time you create a blog, and it'll create a video summary of it for you very quickly. And so these are the type of integrated tools that go from making AI very difficult to use to making it very easy to use. We also have a similar feature in podcasts, but there is just one more thing I want to talk about, which I think is very important in today's current landscape, is we talked about that 25% reduction in traffic, mostly to top level. And so now the traffic that we do get, it's just extremely important to optimize for it. And so that brings back things like A/B testing. That brings back things like personalization. So these are things that were not as important back in the day, or I shouldn't say maybe not as important, but they weren't as top of mind. They weren't at the top of the list. And so let me just share this again so I can go back to a different tab, but they weren't necessarily top of mind. And so now though, now that these reductions in traffic are coming, this is very, very important. And so that's where things like memberships come in, or personalized experiences. And so that you can capture traffic, you can offer value. And so if I go, for instance, over to, I just have this simple membership page set up here, right? I can take and put a bunch of content and make a membership area. And this is fine. This is great. You know, this will get some people into your funnel, but this isn't necessarily a one-to-one experience customized to the user, right? Instead, I have something like this where I can go to a membership vault, and look, this is a site where I took a score, right? I went and got my growth score. I filled out this form. It guided me through the process. It gave me a growth score. Now it also gave me recommended courses based on my score, and it personalized those to me. So you could see here, I logged into my own portal. They captured my information through the score that they gave me through this tool. And now they put me into a portal to educate me, to return, and so on. And so this is a one-to-one experience that is just for me. And this is going to become increasingly important. Now, this isn't necessarily directly towards AI. There are some new tools coming out, you know, where you could do various things with AI for personalization and testing that you could just see around with different AI tools and so on. But this is something that is going to be important for marketers as AI is affecting us with that reduction in traffic. And so I do want to leave some time for questions. I know we're getting close to the end of time here. So why don't I just go back to my slides here, skip a couple ahead, and then we can jump into Q&A. So let me just get back here. Here, and we will go to here.
Cool. I think, does that wrap up? Did you cover everything you wanted to?
Yeah, that was everything that I wanted to cover. I know that we have that. And then we can go into, I know you had a couple slides, and we can go into Q&A.
Fantastic. Yes, that's all. Well, first of all, thank you. Really awesome. Such a huge time saver. And that's coming from somebody who does implement an present strategy of content creation. And it's a lot. There's a lot to do, a lot to create. And even though you have the content, which is that prime material, it still takes a lot of effort to bridge it into different mediums, right? We do put down some slides here in the end. Get in touch. This is the QR code to our free Slack community for GTM pros. If you'd like to join us, please, by all means, scan it. You can find all of our team in there. Soon you'll be able to find Gabe in there too, hopefully. And then if you have any questions about what was covered, you can find it there. Gabe, if you can go to the next slide. We also have the QR code to our YouTube channel. Everybody that's here will be receiving the lesson on Monday through email. However, it will also be available on our YouTube channel, as well as a lot of different clips of some of the key parts of what Gabe's covered.